Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of To Be Frank with Frank Castillo. Today's guest is one of my favorites, Sean Gardini. Deansky.
What's up, brother?
I've had the pleasure of meeting all of you guys in the Philly crew, and all of you, Nate, Lemaire, all you guys are fucking amazing. Really, really fun and amazing.
Dude, we love you too.
Yeah, it was fun. We did the podcast today, and I told Nate to tell the story about the picture.
Oh my god, yeah, he's such a diva,
Dude. They put it up, and then everyone was like, "There's so much room on the left side." It was so fucking funny. And Nat, I ended up hanging out with Nate. I think a few nights ago we ended up doing some shows together, and it was just a fucking cool, fun hang.
Dude, it's always the best. It's the best. What were we talking about? Were we talking about that last night? No, I think it was. Someone was like, "Yo, I was hanging out with Nate. He's the man." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's my best friend."
It was me. It was me. Yeah. You're like, "That's my best friend," and Matt loved it because you were just like, "I loved it." He told you, you said that he was your best friend.
Yeah, they're all my best friends.
Yeah,
I was also fucking hammered yesterday though, dude, because we went to the Eagles game and I drank all day long.
You hammered has been very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, sometimes, but sometimes I'm Zendini and sometimes I'm Gardemon.
Ooh, tell me about Gardemon.
I just get a little nasty every once in a while.
Yeah, that was the thing that I think I clicked the most was I know you're a grump, and anyone who knows me knows I'm a fucking grump.
Yeah, I get grouchy from time
to time.
Dude,
I fucking get catty and not nice, which is fine, but it's also it's funny because the people I fuck with heavy. I'll move mountains for people, and then there's certain people where I'm like, ugh, you know what I mean? And certain people are like, man, you really just don't like that person. It's I'll respect them, but I just don't like their comedy. That's what it always boils down to me. It's
or their company, or
yeah, 100%.
The sight of them. I've been better about that lately, but I do get a little grouchy, especially when I have not just the brewskis. I'm okay, but the whiskeys I start to get.
Oh man,
they turn into meanie Gardini.
See, that's why I can't. That's why I kind of had to stop drinking, because it was just not that I'd be mean or anything, but it was just I don't know, just little. It would just not put me in a good place.
Yeah, that's right. But the beers is Zendini, totally.
Beers is different. I noticed, especially coming to Austin, having beers with you guys, it's been a little funner, cooler, chill vibe. It feels like hanging with the boys.
Yeah, but you get out of there before the whiskeys start flowing.
Oh my God.
And that's a wise move.
Oh.
The whiskeys start flowing.
Dude. Especially Mitzi's, you get a little too drunk. I was talking to Nate on his pod. It was it was funny because I remember you guys got drunk and were just being friends, arguing. And then literally, I think it was the night before, the day after, me and my friend from LA
I remember.
were literally screaming at each other in Mitzi's. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? And it was just so, but it's just boys fucking getting shitty and just being boys.
That is always the move. Is we talk about it all the time. Is you get drunk at Mitzi's, but then you got to leave and go someplace else once you reach the level that you can't be in Mitzi's anymore. You got to go to the creek or something and get really, really, really drunk.
Yeah, that's how it was.
We flee the scene once maybe one comes around.
At the store, it was you never wanted to be shit-faced at the store, because then it's almost a bad look, because it's the club you want to be at, blah, blah. Yeah.
Sure. But not the creek isn't a club I want to be at. I love the creek, but it's just, it's more of a chill hang.
Yeah, they're like, you're not shit-faced? What are you doing?
Yeah, I love the creek so much.
Oh, my God. It's so great. Nate wanted me to ask you to tell me the story about you putting a cigarette out on someone.
Why? I've never heard about this story. Did you talk about that on this?
Not at all. He told me to ask you.
We could talk about it, I guess, but I'm not exactly proud of it.
You don't have to talk about it.
That was like a whiskey night. And we were in Buffalo.
All right, can you tell me some stories you are proud of whiskey Gardini, or Devon Gardini?
No. Not that I'm proud of. I mean, I'm not proud of the story. I will tell it though if you want me to.
No, you don't have to.
I just put a cigarette out on a guy's neck because he's being really mean to me after a show.
No, that makes sense.
But he was being a jerk. I wasn't and this is all alleged, by the way. It was in self-defense.
Would you flick it at him, or you just
No, I just went like this and put it on his Adam's apple.
Did he see it coming?
No, he was really drunk too. He was just being like a jerk though, and he was coming at me all crazy.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
Just back up.
Yeah,
that was just a little force field type thing.
Yeah, that's fine. Has anyone ever gotten crazy on you because of jokes or just at a show besides that?
Yeah, all the time people get mad at me after shows.
What is the thing about it that
I'm
people
sort of embarrassed to talk about? I don't know, but I think it's funny, I guess. I told the story a while ago, and I was at a comedy festival. And me and my dad almost got into a fight at a comedy show because I was getting heckled. I was getting just dog walked by this audience member.
And your dad almost got in a fight with you?
My dad was like, "Hey, shut the fuck up!" to like the guy heckling me. And
I love
they got
that.
into a fight, and then everybody left the comedy show besides me, my dad, and the guy in the audience. And then me and my dad ended up like, my dad was chasing the guy out of the venue. And then I was chasing my dad, being like, "Dad, stop! You can't do this. It's gonna look bad for me."
I fucking love your dad. I love your dad.
I love my dad too. I love my daddy. I love my friends.
That's so funny.
Lemaire was there. Lemaire protected me from my own thoughts. I was very sad after that.
It happens, yeah. So in LA, there was a guy that was doing shows, right? And he wasn't paying anybody. So I did a show, and then I called him out on it. And I was like, "Hey, man, this dude's not paying anybody, right?" And I just put him on blast.
On Instagram?
On Instagram, and just like, because I wasn't going to go fucking see this guy again. I was like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" And then, so I posted about it, and then like it started going around. Everyone was like, "Yeah, he doesn't pay anybody, blah, blah." And then the venue that he was working with found out, and then they kicked him out, and it became a whole thing. And then he called me and was like, "I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of you. I'll fucking break your fucking face," like all this shit. And I was like, just on the phone, like half awake, like on speaker, like, "Yeah, whatever, dog. This is where I live," like just talking shit. And then I put on my Instagram, I put his Venmo. And I was like, everyone request $1 from him and tell him he's a fucking idiot, right? And literally everyone just requested $1 from hundreds of people requested $1 from him, being like, pay Frank, just saying mean things. My dad sends him $1. And in the message goes, he goes, "Listen, my son's funny. I'm not. I'll fucking kill you."
You sent him $1.
So it's just so funny to see, like, just to be on Venmo and probably just see so many requests of just money, and then just $1 come up and be like, "Oh, thank God." And then it's just a death threat from my father.
That's tech savvy on your dad's part, though. Because he would know that if he requested $1, it would get lost in all of the other requests, but the payment was probably at the top of the list.
Yep.
Wise. My dad couldn't have pulled that off. My dad just yelled and said he was going to kill the guy. And then the guy was like, "I'm calling the cops." And my dad was like, "You'll be dead by the time they get here."
I love your fucking dad. Is your dad like, what's your dad like? Is he just like a guy's guy?
Policeman. My daddy used to be
a
policeman, so he's pretty strong and tough.
Yeah.
He's like a big bald guy.
Nice.
But he's getting up there. Like, he shouldn't be challenging people in fights. He's like 60 years old. But
is there any seen your dad
like,
do anything crazy?
Yeah, he would, yeah, sure. But nothing too crazy, but sometimes there would be altercations. I remember one of the most recent ones was in a Costco when I was with my daddy, and he like almost got in a fight with this Russian guy over like a parking spot, and then the Russian guy like came back up to him in the Costco and was like trying to fight again, and I just kept having to be like, "Dad, stop." I'm always like a little girl when my dad gets into fights. I'll be like, "No, stop. Leave him alone."
Dude, my mom's the same way.
Break it up. Yeah, well, I'm like your mom then in that situation.
No. My mom's like your dad. My mom will, like, anytime we take her out, there's always some kind of altercation. Like with the server,
my dad's
or like,
not like a crazy guy though. That's the thing. Like, it's not so common that he's getting into altercations.
Is it like a disrespect thing?
No, he's just not afraid to stand on business, I guess.
And I think that's what's lost in a lot of people, where people are just like, "Oh, you're aggravation." It's like, no, people say things, and then there's people who are stand on business, and people are so not used to that.
I've been trying to stand 10 toes down recently and just really stick to my guns on sorts of things, but it does leave me with a lot of regret. Like, I almost got into a tussle at Rachel's birthday party the other day.
What happened?
Some guy called me up. Well, I don't know if you could say bad. Can you say bad words on this podcast?
Yeah.
But these aren't my words. These are the guy's words at the party.
Okay.
So I was like taking a leak in the bathroom at the urinal, and like 4 guys came in chatting like girls would to go. I think they were like doing cocaine probably or something. And they were like being loud like girls do in the bathroom. And so I just looked at them because it was distracting. I was taking a leak. And then they were like, "What are you looking at? Stop looking over here." That's what they said. That was the bad word that I was talking about. They called me a kid, which is like, I'm not ashamed of being, but I just don't think that's a nice word to use,
Oh yeah, it's also like that's confrontational. It's like, dude, what are you?
I know, I'm just
like,
being
what
a
are you
wise
fucking?
guy. It pissed me off so much.
Yeah, I was like, what do you fucking do?
It's like there's nothing wrong with being a homosexual, but I just don't stand for that kind of language. So I walked up to him and I said, "You can't talk to people like that." And I took his beer out of his hand and threw it in the garbage. And then him and all his friends were like looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, and now you got to get another beer because you can't just call people in the bathroom. Also, maybe, now that I think about it, maybe he was trying to kiss me or something. Maybe he was trying to like come on to me in the bathroom. Because isn't that what a common thing in the homosexual community?
Coming onto in the bathroom? No, they come onto you outside and then you fuck in the bathroom.
Well, no, not if you're doing cocaine in the bathroom. Then.
Oh, I also don't know anything about gays and cocaine because I don't do cocaine.
All right. Well, this guy was gay and on cocaine. He called me a kid in the bathroom. So, again, excuse my language. These aren't my words. But then I was like, I should have just ignored him. But I stood 10 toes. I was also really drunk then.
Yeah, that alcohol, baby.
And I took his beer away from him, and then he was all mad and kept. First he was like, "I don't even care. I'm getting a new beer." And I was like, "All right, go get a new beer then." And I just kind of left. And then he kept coming up to me, telling me I owed him a beer. And there's gonna be a big problem. And I was like, "I'm not getting you a beer. You could get in the bathroom."
Yeah.
I didn't deserve that.
He has that cocaine confidence.
Yeah, I guess so. So then it kept going on. He kept telling me to buy him a beer, and I didn't want to buy him a beer. So I got to a point where I just like tapped one of our bigger friends, and I was like, "Can you tell this guy I'm not getting him a beer?" And then he was like, "Sean's not getting you a beer." And I was like, "Now you got to take it up with him too." And then the guy got all pissed. He was like, "You think you got big friends? I'm going to come back with my big friends." I was like, "I'm not going to be here when you get back, but okay." And then I left.
Yeah. It is very interesting to see people like get confrontational at comedy shows. Like
It wasn't even a comedy show. It was just
or just shindig. Just people getting confrontational. Like,
yeah.
I remember I was in Pentwater, Michigan with Paulie, and I just do these like mass shooting jokes, right? Everyone was having fun. And this big guy, I get off stage, and he's right there, and he goes, "Hey, that wasn't funny." I was just like, all right, well, everyone was laughing. And he was just like, they were being sympathetic. I was like, I don't know what. I was like, all right, well, sorry. And he was like, we don't laugh at school shooting jokes here. And I was like, well, everyone did. So I don't understand. He was like, school shooting jokes aren't funny. I'm like, school shootings aren't funny. The jokes are usually pretty hilarious. Yeah. And then he was just like, I remember he looked at me, he was like, how would you feel if your fucking
school got shot up?
Yeah, and I was like, well, one, I don't have kids. And he's like, that's your fucking problem. He's like, how would you feel if I showed up to your house and killed your whole fucking family?
Oh my God.
And I looked at him and I go, well, that's not a school shooting. That's just murder.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And then he just looked at me and he was like, all right, yeah, you got a good point. But I remember just looking at him, I was like, dude, I'm not going to like back down from this. He was fucking huge. I was terrified. But I was also like, I'm
not much of a fighter myself.
like,
I should stop talking like I should maybe stand maybe 5 toes down.
Have you ever been in fights?
I have when I was younger, but not since I was maybe like 21, 20. The last fight, I've talked about all these stories before because I don't have anything to say. I podcast all the time, and I only got like 10 stories. But I've been in, the last fight I was in a college, and I cheated.
How'd you cheat? Do you have a gun?
No, I like put my thumb in the guy's eye.
That's not cheating?
Beating me up really bad.
That's not cheating? That's just fighting, dog.
Yeah.
Street fights, whatever happens.
I barely really even hit him. I just kind of put my thumb in his eye.
I mean, that's all you got to do, dude. No one expects a thumb in the fucking eye.
Yeah. Yeah, but other than that, I'm not much of a fighter. I'm more of a lover. A joker, a smoker.
Midnight toker. All right, let's get into some of these questions.
I don't mean to bore you with
Not at all, dude. I love all this shit.
I wasn't even aware that there was questions. I'm sorry.
I've been
yapping about it. I thought I was just gonna have to.
No, it's the first
all the times I've been into altercations, and I don't like to talk about that kind of stuff. I'm sorry.
No. First half is usually just us catching up. Last half is usually just questions and stuff. But it's also like I just like to get to know the people.
Cool. Well, how are you doing?
I'm good, Doug. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
All right, good. If you could change one thing about your childhood, what would it be?
I had a pretty good childhood. Both
parents?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're both pretty sweet. I love them both very much.
What's your mom do?
Chill, bro. What kind of a loaded question was that? This is an embarrassing story, but I do think it's kind of funny to tell.
Go ahead.
And I hope my parents don't hear it because they might get a little embarrassed, but I'm not trying to embarrass them. I mean, it's only natural, but they just got back from vacation. So I called them today to ask them how it was. And then I talked to my dad, and my dad was like, "Your mom is at the doctor. She'll probably call you on her way back." And then my mom was like, "I just went to the gynecologist." I was like, "After vacation, you can't tell me this. What the hell? Isn't that kind of too much information?"
She could have just said, "I went to the doctor."
Yeah, I wish she would have just said that. And I love you, Ma. I mean, it's only natural, but
Are your parents
that might have been too much information.
Are your parents like too much information parents?
Not typically, no. But we're pretty open about like the doctor and stuff. Like when I had a rectal abscess, they heard all about it.
You had a rectal abscess?
Yeah, that's another.
Ugh,
That's another
that's tough.
thorn in my side recently. That's what happened after I did the cigarette thing. So I think it might have been a little bit of karma. I kept saying I went to Buffalo, New York, and all I got was this rectal abscess.
How do you get a rectal abscess?
You got to go to Buffalo, New York. No, I was just eating like shit and drinking for like a week straight with Nate on the road.
Oh,
sitting
no.
on planes and like driving a lot.
Dude, I probably have so many rectal abscesses.
No, you would know, brother. Josh, I told you about my abscess, right?
Yeah, you were standing on one of the podcasts.
Yeah, I forgot.
You couldn't even sit down?
No, well, that was when it was like growing still. When it came to its final form, I could like barely walk, dude. I was in so much pain I couldn't sleep. And I just went to the doctor the urgent care first thing in the morning, and they sliced that bitch open.
Ugh.
And I had to wear like a man pond / diaper for like a whole week. I did stand up in a diaper that night because my pussy was just bleeding.
Oh, that pussy red.
Dude, sorry. I mean, I'm telling way too much information.
No, dude,
on
this
podcast.
is literally what the podcast is. It's to be frank. You know, we're just honest.
True,
We're just,
I am being frank, but yeah, the rectal abs. So yeah, I guess we're pretty open about health stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I don't want to know about that.
No, 100%. My dad's one of those guys where like he was a single dad growing up, so he was always like way too open about how with his sex life. Like I know too much about how much my dad fucks.
Yeah, that's a good. Normally, that stuff's kept pretty far under wraps. in my
Yeah.
family, which is nice.
No, I've walked in on my dad fucking, and it's weird. Mostly because it was just like the first, like because my dad was like younger,
Okay.
so he was like fucking hot chicks, and then
Were
like
you a youngster or were you kind of old?
I think he had me when he was 23, so I grew up with him in his 20s, 30s, and 40s. So like he was just fucking, he was a barfly. So he'd, drink, he'd go out, he'd play baseball and stuff, and he worked at Safeway, and he would literally just
Hell yeah.
fuck single
Seems
chicks.
like the fucking man.
I mean, he's a great hang, but like it is tough. Like there's a lot of,
Yeah, you don't really want your dad to be a great hang.
Yeah,
You kind of
yeah.
just want him to be a
dad.
chill hang.
Yeah, you want him to be a dad.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But you want him to be chill still, You
Yeah.
just don't want him to be like the life of the party.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it always feels like. He's always the life of the party.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he was like, I remember he would fuck single chicks, and they'd have kids, so I'd have to go with him, and I'd be like a de facto babysitter.
Oh, okay, but they didn't consummate a child. They
Were just other single people with kids.
You got new friends though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
you
but
ever get like a new friend out of it?
I did not like we weren't like new friends, but they'd always be like, "Are you my brother?" And I was just like, this is rough."
That's
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's one story I told it already, but I'll tell it again. It was so it was like the last time I went out with my dad. He was like, "We're gonna go to this chick's house. He's got a kid. You can come hang out and play." And I was like, "Sick." And I get there, and the kid is like, there's like a 7-year age difference. Like the kid is a child, right? And I'm like a teenager, so I'm literally just sitting there, hanging out with a kid. And the lady's house was literally, it was like a studio, but there was a wall halfway through it. So we were like in their living room portion, and we're like watching TV, and I fall asleep, and then I wake up. And I hear it before my eyes
your
open.
Dad's just chilling in the bedroom for like long enough for you to fall asleep.
We're all watching a movie together.
Oh, I see.
And then I fall asleep on a beanbag, and then I wake up to the sound. I don't like open my eyes. I just hear it, but I hear just.
Nice.
And I open my eyes, and my dad's just fucking pounded this chick on the bed.
Hell yeah.
And I just have to I'm just like, well, I guess I just have to I just have to block it out and hope this ends soon. And so I'm sitting there just.
You want your dad to come back?
I'm like, "Pops, please come. Just please bust. I need you to bust right now."
You're like,
And-
"Dad, don't jerk off before we go to this lady's house." I can't stand another 30 minutes.
So I'm sitting there. I'm trying to pretend to be asleep, and As they're about to finish, this lady's dog, which was a Chihuahua, comes up and starts humping my hand.
Oh.
man.
So they finally finish.
He was stunting like your daddy.
Yeah, he was giving it to me, dude. And then, my dad, like, and this lady, like, finish up. They're both, like, sitting on the bed talking, right? Watching me sleep while this dog's humping me. And my dad's just like, we should probably wake him up. And she goes, yeah. He's kind of giving it to him. And I'm just like, and I just remember starting to stir, and they're like, oh, shit. And I was like, I looked at him, I was like, I can never go back again. I never do that again. I can never do that again.
Why didn't the other kid help you?
He was passed out in the other fucking half of the room.
Damn. Yeah, the Chihuahua was probably sick of humping his ass. He's probably like,
He was like some new meat dog. What was crazy about this chick is when he stopped seeing her, because I remember they were like kind of fucking around still. So he went to her place to fuck one night. And then afterwards he was like, oh, I gotta get back to my kid. And then she was like, she goes, so you're just gonna fucking leave? And he goes, my kid's at home by himself. She goes, well, what about me? And he goes, well, I'm not a bad parent.
That's a pretty sick way to hold it down.
Yeah. And then, then they got into a big argument and shit. And then she ended up finding out where we lived and then leaving a note on my dad's truck.
Whoa.
And the note was like, hey, sorry for freaking out, blah, blah, blah. It's like, sorry for getting so upset, blah, blah. I just don't want you to freak out. Like, I'm not weird or anything. I don't boil rabbits or anything. Which is a reference to Fatal Attraction. Do you know the plot of that movie?
No, I'm sorry.
So Fatal Attraction is about a guy who fucks a lady randomly, and he's married, like a bad like one night stand. He just didn't want to do it, whatever, right? He fucks this chick.
Oh,
she ends up going crazy and like stalking him and like fucking like wants to kill his wife to be his wife. It boils their pet rabbit and shit.
Whoa.
So my dad was like, I remember him reading it and he goes, huh. And he looks at the note and he looks at me and shows it to me and he goes, just so you know, any girl that references Fatal Attraction, you should stop fucking with them.
It's good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cut her off.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Do you ever any crazy interactions with chicks? Anything scary like that?
No, nothing scary like that. I remember I try not to talk about ladies so much on podcasts out of respect for the ladies.
Fuck all these
whores.
No, I'm just
The
kidding.
first time I ever did it, I got in big trouble.
Oh, how?
It was just like I talked about a couple ladies at the same time, and one of the ladies was fuming about it. And she it was a live podcast, so she watched it live. She's probably gonna be mad at it. Maybe she'll see that I'm talking about it right now, and I hope she's not mad anymore. I'm sorry, I was a younger, less wise man back then.
No, I feel it.
But yeah,
I had an ex show her husband my stand-up from like when I first started, and then she was like, "This is this guy I used to date." And then like she showed, and then I had a joke, and it wasn't about her; it was about like other chicks, obviously. But she was just like, "Yeah, is that about me?" And I was like, "No." And then she was like, "Oh, because my husband was watching that," and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I wasn't like why it was so long ago.
That's their fault too, you know. And
Yeah.
I never mentioned anybody's name, so it's kind of like.
Oh no, I said her first and last name.
I never. I don't know. I think talking about ladies is pretty lame, and talking about fights is pretty lame. And I already talked about fights way too much, so I don't know if I want to talk about ladies.
No, all right. What can we talk about?
No, we can talk. I don't know.
That's all right.
I'm happy I never had to think. My parents never really had sex. I don't think they have sex anymore. I don't think they've ever had sex.
You've never heard your parents fucking?
No.
Oh God, that's the dream.
Or if I have, I just don't remember it. Thank God.
I will tell an embarrassing story. So my wife's parents, very active, right? Just it's the nicest way to, just a very polite way to say it.
Pickleball and stuff.
Very active, right? So I remember we stayed at her parents' house for Thanksgiving, right? And then I remember our bedroom that we're staying in is right next to their bedroom, right? And then we were going to sleep, and I remember I was like, my wife passed out, and then I was starting to go into sleep, and then I just hear something, and then I was like, and then I just closed my eyes and like just forced myself to go to sleep. And then I remember I told my wife, and then she goes, "Oh, yeah, that happens." And then she like told her sister, and her sister was like, "Yeah, that was my old room. I moved rooms immediately when my sister moved out." I was like, "Oh my God." And it was also kind of like a power move on her dad, where I was like, I'm here. I respect that. I respect that.
Or maybe is their hearing just going and they don't really know how loud they're making?
Nah. their hearing's fine.
That's crazy. That is a power move.
Yeah.
That happened to me. I stayed at my sister's house. I didn't hear them having sex. Thank God. That would have been so gross. But I heard them arguing, and that kind of bummed me out.
Yeah, that is always worse.
Knock it off in there.
Yeah, you're like, hey, come on, get fucking knock it off. Yeah.
Go to bed.
Me and my wife don't argue. It's mostly her outsmarting me.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes with me too.
Yeah, because she's also like one of those people where like she didn't come from a family that like people screamed or yelled or like threw things. That's all my family did. So like anytime we ever got in an argument, the first argument I ever got, I remember I raised my voice and she just like teared up and then just like was like, I have to go take a walk. And then I was like, you could do that? You could just go take a walk? And then I was like, oh, I feel like a piece of shit. And then I had to think about like myself and how I handle things. And I was just like, oh, I can't do that. I can't yell at. I can't yell or like, I wasn't even yelling at her. I was just raising my voice because I was upset.
Yeah, yelling's tough.
Yeah. And then I now I don't yell or anything.
That's good. I don't really yell much either, believe it or not. I don't get very loud.
I mean, I could tell.
But my parents do. I remember my mom used to throw stuff. One time she got me so good with a shampoo bottle and she started crying. It was so crazy.
She cried because she hit you with a shampoo bottle?
She hit me and it like split my like forehead or whatever, like in my hairline, and I was like bleeding a lot. And she's like, I'm so sorry. She's like freaking out. First she was so mad at me, and it was kind of awesome because all I had to do was get a little cut. And then I wasn't in trouble anymore. She felt so bad about making me bleed.
Dude, I remember I used to have a stepbrother.
That's pretty much it, though.
Real piece of shit. And we were playing, and he pushed me into a tree, a bunch of bushes, and they had just shaved them all. So there was one tree that it was just a branch, and it was literally just sheer and just out. And I fell, and it hit me in the cheek, and it like fucked my whole shit up, like to the point where it was just blasted open. And like it was like very like it wasn't all the way through the cheek, but it was pretty cool. And my mom like freaked the fuck out. And I think she beat the shit out of my stepbrother.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like I remember being that like at that moment, just kind of being like, "Thanks, mom." Like, yeah,
yeah, that's cool. She had your back.
Yeah,
I never really got beat that bad. My dad would always sock me one. If I was like being really bad, he'd just sock me one.
Where, in the chest and the arm?
The belly, or like
that's
maybe the leg or the arm. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad
Sometimes in the chest, but not that hard in the chest.
Yeah.
That would kill me. My dad's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's so strong.
Yeah, my dad never really hit me. My mom was the one that was like very disciplined. My dad always felt bad. He was always like, ugh.
My dad would feel bad too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would like hit my sister.
Mm.
Someone did a funny joke recently. I wish I remembered his name. I always complain about seeing stand-up on my phone all the time, but every once in a while I'll see a funny joke, and that's nice.
It was about. I think I know who you're talking about. It was a comment talking about the only woman he beats up is his sister.
Yeah, he's like, people will say it's like how whatever to grow up with a sister, and it's like the only thing it means is that I've gotten to fights with women before. He's like, I've punched a woman before.
Dude, some people I've had guys that I've met who are like, all my siblings are sisters, and like they've gotten the shit kicked out of them by women.
Yeah,
and it's
I
like
was a big bro, so I wasn't that bad.
Oh, okay.
I would never like punch my sister, but I remember one time I kicked her really hard. And I remember I kneed her one time. We were young though, like it wasn't like it couldn't have been that. I was probably like 9, and then she would be 7. And I kneed her in the because I knew she didn't have balls at that point. That like locked online with me, where I was like, girls don't have balls, and I knew how hard it hurt to get hit in the balls. So I was like, this won't hurt her because she doesn't have balls. And I just like kneed her where her balls would be.
Oh.
Yeah, I got in so much trouble for that. I can only remember those 2 times. I kicked her the other time when we were like maybe a little bit older, and she went flying. And then I was like, I can't hit my sister anymore. My dad probably socked me one for that.
It was always funny when like kids get into fights.
It's crazy. I feel so bad about it. Like thinking back about it.
I had
we were both so little.
I had probably one of our youngest cousins.
Nasty too. She would like bite me.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah, I get
she
that.
She was real nasty. Shout out to my sis.
I remember my cousin Gabby, who's the funniest now. I think she's my favorite. But I remember when she was younger, she would get picked on, and then one time our cousin was picking on her, and she hit I don't know if it was a suplex. It was more like a hip toss for sure, but it was over her whole body. Like our cousin was like fucking with her, and she just grabbed her arm and just fucking hip tossed her. And I remember we all watched her go from standing to just full on somersault, and she hit the ground, and we were all like, "Wow!" Because Gabby was the smallest out of all of us, so we did not expect it.
That's sick.
Changed the whole hierarchy from then on out.
I used to do cool moves on our one buddy. like down the street. They were two brothers, and their dad was like a military guy, and now they're both military guys. But the youngest one, Chewy, shout out to Chewy. They used to be so mean to him and like beat the crap out of him, and now he's a Navy SEAL. So it's like I guess it kind of
and now they
a
don't fuck
tough
with him
guy.
at all, right?
Probably not. I haven't seen him in a while, but I hope you're doing well, Chewy, if you're out there.
Shout out Chewy.
He's a
Dude.
Navy SEAL.
That reminds me of something that happened on our street. There's these 3
I
kids.
don't think they call him Chewy anymore either.
No, they're probably like Navy SEAL number fucking 10 or some shit.
Sorry.
No, not at all. Yeah, so there was a family that lived next to us, and there was a group of brothers. And then I remember it was a very cool knit community. Like we all knew each other. Like we all knew the garbage man. And then I remember one of the kids forgot to take the garbage out, and he ran out to take the garbage. And the garbage guy, I don't know if he didn't see him or what, but he ended up hitting him and dragging him like 2 houses down. And then when he got out, he saw what happened and was like, "Oh fuck!" And he had to he grabbed the kid and like ran to his house and was like, "Hey, I need call an ambulance, call it." And and they were like, "I just fucking hit your kid." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" And then they had to pull him out, and they saw everything. They're like, "Holy shit!" But
What
he
the
ended up,
fuck happened to the kid?
he was fine. He just, I think it fucked his leg up really bad. Like it wasn't it didn't eat him and put him in the machine or anything. It just he ran him over.
I used to work on a garbage truck.
Really?
hmm
How long?
I would do it in the summer. I worked for the Department of Public Works in my hometown in the summer and the winter time. When
That's
the
sick.
guys would get vacation time. They'd bring in part-time kids to do it.
Did you ever see anything crazy in the trash?
No, there used to be funny jokes though. I've talked about it before, but there was a guy named Black Gary, and there was nobody else named Gary that worked there. And there's a guy I worked with who just got his 4th wife breast implants, and then a couple months later he got her a breast reduction because they were way too big, but he still left them a little bit bigger than they were originally. But he had to downsize the tits that he got, and they would meet and make out outside the Wawa on our breakfast/lunch breaks, and we would post up, and me and whoever else was working would sit and eat snacks.
And just watch them make out.
No, we wouldn't. Well, we'd kind of laugh and point, but it was kind of gross. They were both kind of gross. No offense if they're seeing this, but. And one guy named Sam would always open whenever we'd have to pick up bulk pickups, appliances, whether it be a washing machine or a dryer or a refrigerator. He would always scream that there was a dead baby in there. That was always a funny joke. He'd always be like, "Holy fucking shit, there's a baby in here." He'd say it every time. It was funny though. No one ever believed him.
Until the one time there's a fucking baby in there.
Yeah. The boy who cried dead baby. Remember those jokes? Those used to be so popular when I was a kid. Talking
Dead
about
baby
what's
jokes?
the
Yeah.
difference between a Ferrari and a dead baby.
Can't stick your dick in a dead Ferrari.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't miss those jokes, but I wonder if the kids I think now they just do memes. They don't
Yeah,
have
the kids are just
nasty jokes
memes.
anymore.
I look at
But
my
I guess those are just jokes.
I look at my siblings and they talk to me in memes.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm like, I don't get it.
My younger family members with the internet brain really gives me the heebie-jeebies if I get a little too stoned and I think about it. I'm like, dude, they are on the internet so much. They're so online.
There's people who are only online, and then you look at you ever meet people who are not online?
Yeah, that's nice. But it is sort of embarrassing when you bring up Big Justice or something and then they don't know
They're
what
like,
you're
huh?
talking about and you're like, oh yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about how those YouTubers who prank people. Most of those, if you're not online all the time, you don't know what any of that is, right?
Yeah.
And that's why there was that guy who got shot in Walmart who was picking. He was a DoorDash driver.
The baby shot a guy in the Walmart.
That was great too. I saw that video.
Sorry.
Not at all.
What the hell happened? He pranked somebody and he got shot for it.
So there was a YouTuber that was pranking some dude in a Walmart, and then a DoorDash driver's picking up McDonald's, right? So he's got his order. He's getting ready to
Walmart
leave.
McDonald's. I
Yeah.
love a good Walmart McDonald's. Isn't that the best when the Walmart has a little restaurant inside of it?
That high tier fucking food,
The
dude.
McDonald's Walmart is crazy.
They hit better. I swear to God, they hit better.
I kind of like them better too. There was a Dunkin' Donuts in the grocery store by my old house in New York, and I used to go there all the time and get coffee and go to the grocery store.
I used to hanging. The Walmart in Temecula, where I'm from, we used to call it a party at 3 a.m. because you could go to Walmart and there would just be so many people there, all hot people too. Most of them were because they worked in the casinos, but it was just random attractive people just in Walmart at 3 a.m.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We used to go when I was like in middle school and stuff. Just go to a store to like cause a ruckus, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like play with the stuff and run around, ride those little carts for disabled people.
Dude.
Did you do that as a kid?
I was a mall rat, hardcore.
Carl's Jr. is the place where it was. Yeah, we didn't have those little things.
You'd hang out in the woods though too. That was always the best at the woods. I miss the woods.
Just the woods, just in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was actually kind of fun.
I used to be in the woods so much as a youth.
Really?
I was a big woods guy.
Where'd you grow up?
New Jersey.
Oh, there's a lot of woods in New Jersey.
Yeah, I used to
Nice.
like to fish, and then my friend Hunter, shout out to Hunter, he could make like chlorine bombs, so we'd go and like blow up.
All right, you gotta. What was
Well, I
Hunter
don't
in Middle
think they were
Eastern? What
actually
happened?
Chlorine bombs, but that's what we would call them. He would just
Oh.
take like chemicals from his parents' pool and like put them all in like a big bottle, and then we'd blow them up. And just do stuff like that. You guys didn't do stuff like that?
Yeah, in San Jose, we mostly like rode skateboards to the mall. We would like blow shit up. We actually there was a patch of like area. It was a wooded area. We all started getting into paintball, and we would just paintball in this area.
I would do airsoft.
Yeah. And then I remember the cops came once because we were all just fucking paintball. Someone called the cops because like there's a bunch of kids with guns shooting each other, and then it was just like, "What are you guys doing?" We're just all like paintballing it.
Joking. We're just having fun,
We're
officer.
just fucking around.
Officer.
All right.
Sorry, yeah, I'm yapping.
No. That's the whole point of this podcast,
Shouldn't have
dude.
smoked the kush.
Do you have any beliefs that have changed significantly over time?
No, every belief I've always had, and I'll have them forever. I'm standing 10 toes.
I love it.
Not like in an altercation way, but morally.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
What do you consider to be red flags in a romantic relationship?
No, I don't know. I don't. Can you start?
Me? Yeah, absolutely. I remember there was a girl that I was dating, and she grabbed my phone. She goes, "Oh, your text messages don't say whether or not they've been read or unread. You should switch that for me so I can tell whether or not you've read my text messages."
I don't like that.
And I was like, "Huh?" And then I didn't understand it. I was like, "Sure." And then I remember like the first argument, she was like, "Hey, I texted you like an hour ago. You haven't responded to me. Like, what the fuck?" And I was like, "Oh, this is not good."
Yeah, I don't like that. That reminds me of maybe one that people out there can relate to. I don't like sharing my location.
Really.
No, nobody has my location
I
besides you two right now.
I share my location with my wife and like 5 other friends.
Maybe I should in case like someone tries to kidnap me, but I think I'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, the reason I share my location with because people see that, where they're like, why does your wife know where you are all the time? And I was like, well, one, because I'm an irresponsible adult. Like, I went out with Pauly Shore, and I'm the kind of guy who will go to the random audience member's house after the show if they have weed.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
Yeah. So, and she
That's
was
fun though.
It is until you're in the woods of North Carolina, fucking 4 miles away from your hotel.
Oh yeah, you can't do that.
And you're just under. Yeah, I remember being in a basement and just looking around. It was like 5 guys and 1 chick, and then they're all like hanging out and smoking weed. We're all chilling. I'm like, this is fun. And all of a sudden, the chick starts making out with multiple guys, and I was like, oh, this is a little weird. And then I just kind of started looking at the wall, and I'm like, oh, I'm like deep in the fucking woods. I'm like, I really don't know any of these people.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And then I think I
do stuff like that. That's why I don't need to share my location.
Yeah, so that's why I share my location.
Yeah, that's wise, I guess. Was the Wheeze with you?
No, he actually told me, he was like, whatever you do not go to their house after the show. And I was like, of course not. And then I remember he left, and then I was still there, and I was like,
Why did you go to that?
The hotel was across, like really close, and then like, hey,
Should've
we
needed the Wheeze's warning.
they're like, we've got weed at our house, and I was like, I don't have any weed, so let's go to your house.
Yeah,
And then
that is tough. I hate not having any weed,
oh, it's rough.
especially when I want to go to bed.
Yeah. I think that's probably, the most trouble I get into is when I don't have weed and I'm on the road. I'm like, well, let's find some weed. And then the mission literally becomes fucking life or death.
Yeah, yeah. I don't get myself into that many situations. I have been in situations like that before, but never that intense. I'm not an adventurous man.
Oh,
for the most part.
I'm dumb.
I wouldn't say you're not dumb.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate
smart.
that. I think the second worst one I ever did was, I remember going to, again, Pauly Shore, Black Mountain.
Maybe you gotta stop hanging out with Pauly Shore. You ever think about that?
No, he's the best.
I'm just kidding. He is the man. I went to the UFC with him.
Really?
Once. Well, so it was Shane, but then he was sitting next to me. was like, yo,
Dude,
what the heck?
the amount of like, it's very funny to like talk to him about like addiction or like alcoholism or just stuff like that. Like just, I've had so many real talks with Pauly Shore about life and things, and I'm just the whhole time sitting there, I'm like, you're the fucking weasel. Like this is weird.
I haven't had any real talks with him, but he's always so nice.
Yeah, he's a sweet guy. It's fucking, just so wild, dude. All
He's
right,
got a good dog too.
greatest dog in the world.
I love a good dog.
Are you a big dog guy?
Yep.
What do you have dogs?
No,
Mm,
I think that's why I like other people's dogs so much, because I want a dog, but I'm too impatient to take care of a dog, I think.
and you're also on the road all the time. You're like
I
traveling.
do travel sometimes. I had to get a girl. I had to get a bitch before I get a dog. Dude,
So here's my problem: is if I get a dog and I'm gone all the time, my dog's gonna love my wife more, and then I'm just gonna hate my wife because the dog loves her.
I don't think he will. I think she might get mad at you.
No, that's kind of how.
Because the dog will still like you. That's what happens to Nate, I think.
Oh, really?
No, I think Nate's dog loves them both so much, but Nate says whenever he comes home, the dog's just like, fuck. I think if you just walk the dog, he's going to love you.
Yeah, my cats are like that. They can give a fuck less if I'm around. They love my wife fucking so much.
Wish I had. I think about getting a cat sometimes. 'Cause
Cats are
I could-
nice?
Yeah, but I don't want to get like an old one.
Get a young one.
Nah, I want an old one.
You want an old one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go adopt an old cat.
Yeah, but I got to I don't know. I'm a little lazy too. I don't know. I always think about doing stuff and I never end up doing most of it.
I mean, a cat's perfect for a lazy person.
We'll see.
We about to go adopt a cat together, dog? Me and Gardini splitting fucking custody over a cat.
That would be cute.
All right.
Cat dads.
All right.
Two gay cat dads.
Two gay cat. My two gay cat dads. Is there anything about you that you feel people have always struggled to understand?
No, not really. I don't know. I worry sometimes that people think I'm a bad guy. I worry a lot of times that people think I'm a rude, bad guy.
Is it just because nothing in particular, or just like
I think it's just 'cause
intrusive
I'm
thought?
not good at talking to people.
Hmm.
And sometimes I don't like talking.
I don't know if that's like,
So I worry people think I'm like standoffish. But I'm not. I'm just nervous.
yeah, I think that's like a lot of people are like that.
I hope so. I hope they understand. I hope they understand me.
Yeah.
I pray they understand me. But yeah, I don't know. I forget the question now.
Oh,
I'm just filled with yaps today. I'm sorry. I just keep yapping.
no, dude, that's perfect, dude. I
I
feel
hope
like
this is good.
it is good. I feel like I'm getting to know you. It's one of these things like, do you not like being on podcasts by yourself?
I don't like being on podcasts in general.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's actually really fun. But I'm still getting used to it, I think. After all these years, I still am not really used to it.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I mean, it is a strange artificial thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I like talking to you.
Oh, thanks, man.
So
I
that's
appreciate
fun.
that. Yeah. We've definitely been having a lot of fun. I've enjoyed watching you do stand-up, and I've enjoyed hanging out with you in Austin.
I bombed so bad at Sunset yesterday.
I mean, it's sunset, though.
No, Sunset's the best, but I was so drunk after the Eagles game.
Oh, no.
I told Josh about it. I was like, yeah, give it up for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then I just named, that's what I do when I'm really bombing. I just name everybody on the show, and I just tell them to give them a round of applause. And then I'll do that for about 5 minutes straight if that's how long it takes. I've been getting better at remembering everybody, though. Sometimes
That's fucking hilarious.
But yeah, that was a bad one. I felt really bad about that. Oh my God. I darted out of that place. I was like, I gotta go home. That was humiliating.
Do you any like super big bombs that stand out?
That one with the fight was pretty bad with my dad. I bombed pretty bad at a show here that like the guy came back in the green room. I won't say what show it is because I feel so bad that I did this at their show because they run a good show. But this guy just didn't like one of my jokes about trans people, which I don't really like doing that joke, but I was doing it with the swimmer stuff, and I'm a dumb idiot, so I was doing it anyway, even though I don't really like doing it. And the guy got all offended. He was like, I got a trans daughter. I don't want to hear this kind of stuff. And I was like, damn, a gay dad with a trans daughter. What are the odds? I was pretty proud of that line. And it was doing pretty good after that. But I still felt really bad because he was pissed. And he came back into the green room and like scolded me for 5 minutes, being like, everyone on the show, you guys are all really good, but you. You got a long way to go,
Was
buddy.
was that guy a part of the show?
No, he was just an audience member.
So
He was
why?
like,
why?
I know they let him back. He
I'd
figured out which
fucking lost my
room
mind.
in a series of rooms was the green room. I think he probably checked a couple of them because there was a lot of rooms. And he came back and he was like, I recorded that whole thing. The owner is not going to be happy when he hears what he was saying on stage. He's a bad comedian. And I was just
Nah.
like, I already kind of bombed. I did okay, but I kind of bombed already. And I was just like, dude, you just come back here to tell me how bad I was over and over and over again.
That's where
And
I
he
would have
was
went
like,
crazy.
No, I wanted to show you I wanted to teach you about how to have empathy. And then Dylan Sullivan, shout out to Dylan, he had my back. He was like, Sean Gardini is the most empathetic man I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, thanks, Dylan. But the guy didn't want to hear it. He was all drunk, and he was just telling me how he knows about comedy and how I'm really bad at it.
Ugh, fuck
And I was
that
like,
guy.
Can you just get out of here, man? Because I don't really want to hear this anymore. And he was like, yeah, all right. And then he just left.
Yeah,
After like 5 minutes of just talking to us about why I'm bad at comedy.
dude, I fucking
That was a tough
dude, I fucking hate those people.
And now the show, I won't say what show it is, but now the show will send out a text. Someone told me, Dylan Sullivan showed me the text of the people being like, try not to mention anything about gay people or trans people because we've had problems with comedians touching on that sort of material in the past.
Oh, I think I know exactly what show this is. That's so funny.
You do. I mean, it's our friend's
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
I just feel so bad for kind of getting them in trouble. I didn't want
You know what?
that was my intention. I was just trying to make everybody laugh.
I don't think. Here's the thing about that is like, me and Matt literally talked about this on an episode where it's like, and especially coming from like roast battle stuff, it's this thing of like, everyone should be able to get it fairly across the board. Anytime you start protecting anybody or putting anyone above in a higher pedestal,
Punching up and punching down.
it's like, no, it's just, if you treat any one person or one group special than everyone else, then it's like, that's crazy to me. Where it's like, if you're just cracking jokes, 'cause to me, that guy just heard that and was like, I'm going to be a better person. It's like, you're not doing anything.
It wasn't a good joke, I guess. I think he was kind of mad that I hit him with that nasty slam dunk, too.
Yeah. Then it becomes personal.
I'm just kidding. It wasn't a nasty slam
No,
dunk.
that was a great one.
But, yeah, people were doing jokes about that kind of stuff before. I think he just didn't like my joke.
Yeah.
said
Was
had
he a white
trans
guy?
daughter. Yeah, he was like an old, swarthy white guy. He was there with like young ladies.
Yeah.
I think he might have been up to something bad.
No, I believe it.
But he's entitled to his opinion. I listened to him tell me I was bad for 5 minutes before I was like, can you please get out of here?
Yeah.
Because you're really bumming me out right now.
I remember.
I guess he maybe just gave me a taste of my own medicine. He probably thinks about like, actually, I won't be nasty about it. Just, maybe I hit too close to home or something with the trans daughter thing. And he's like,
well, again, it's
I played catch with them all the time, and it still happened anyway. And like that's fair. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be trans. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I love everybody. But
it is.
that guy was mad. I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe the joke's not so good anyway.
Well, it's also like if that interaction makes the joke better, as in like you're like, well, how do I make this better? And you do, because that's what I've had. I have a trans joke, and then I remember I had someone come up to me and be like, I love the joke. They're like, there's just one phrase, it makes me feel weird. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then they told me and they explained it to me. And then I thought about it and I was like, okay. And then I changed literally one word, changed the whole joke, made it better. And I was like, okay. And it flowed differently. But it was also just like, yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that perspective from that person if I didn't have made the joke.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly it. But who cares? The joke. I'm tired of the trans jokes now. I want to be a clean comedian now.
Yeah.
Because everyone's being so nasty up there. And
That's
I don't know. Someone ought to wash their mouth out with soap or something. I'm sitting there in the back thinking, Jesus, potty mouth up there.
Yeah. Well,
it used to be fun because nobody was doing it, and now everybody's doing it. It's not fun anymore. Now I want to be a clean comedian.
Well, this is.
I want to be like Jerry Seinfeld.
Or
I'm gonna convert to Judaism and be a clean.
do
comedian.
Pop-Tart shit.
Yeah, do Pop-Tart stuff. No, maybe I'm just yapping too much again.
No, you're fine. Dude, I love this. This is so fun to me.
I smoked too much of that weed.
No, it was perfect, dude. Perfect. What was I gonna say? Damn, I forgot. That's all right.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. I'm also high. All right, last one. Let me keep asking questions.
I'm happy to answer.
Is there anyone?
Best that I can.
Is there anyone that like you looked up to as a child that you still do? Like a hero?
Yeah, I guess my dad, but that's an easy answer. What do people normally say, like famous people?
Matt Edgar said Rey Mysterio, and he went on like a 5-minute
I
rant
see.
about it. It was actually
Okay.
really, really sweet and pretty like adorable.
Oh, I don't know. When I was young, I liked stand-up. I liked stand-up when I was like a real youngster. I liked it more than I like it now.
Mm.
Like, I love Louis and all those guys. That's what I'm thinking about, I guess.
I was a big
'Cause we're
Louis
both
fan.
comedians. I don't know what else I was really into. I had a bunch of wrestling. I was a wrestler for a while.
You wrestled?
Yeah. For
Like
a long time.
WWE style or actual like?
No, like scholastic.
Oh, whoa.
Wrestling.
Nice.
But yeah, I always looked up to my coaches, but I don't really look up to those guys anymore. But I like those guys. They taught me valuable lessons. But I'm trying to think of like fictional characters that I looked up to. I can't think of many. I just keep thinking of comedians.
That's fine. You could be a comedian. Louis was like...
Louis was the best. I used to watch him and like freak out.
Yeah. He was my favorite. When he would come to the store, I would always be like the door guy working the green room. So I got to like talk to him like very small amounts. But he was a big Trey's Lounge fan, which is one of my dad's favorite movies, one of my favorite movies. You ever hear of it?
No.
So it's I think it's an indie movie. It's with Steve Buscemi.
I like Steve Buscemi.
He just plays a barfly, and it's about him in this apartment that he lives above this bar that he goes to all the time.
Barfly, I like that. I think maybe I'm a barfly sometimes.
Dude, I used to be a barfly. I used to be a lush. My dad definitely is a barfly and a lush.
A lush and a barfly. I like those terms.
Dude, lush, there's no wrong with being a lush.
Yeah, I got to take a couple days off, though.
Ugh.
I was on the stuff too hard this weekend.
This is probably the toughest 6 days I've had in Austin.
Just from boozing?
This is the most probably I've drank, like really hung out with the boys and drank, and then also the most like kind of shooting podcasts and spots and stuff, staying out late. Like after the WWE thing, me and Matt went to Tony's place and fucking like we're there till 5:30 in the morning.
Staying
Like,
up late.
dude, it's rough.
It's fun, though.
It's the best time. It's like camp.
Dude, I got on the Suck It Cam. That was the best night of my... That was the best... WWE was the best night of my...
You want to talk about it? Dude, how did that feel to you?
I wish I just talked about that I could have talked about that for the whole podcast instead of saying all that embarrassing stuff.
What did that moment mean to you? Especially as a WWE fan.
I'm not a WWE fan.
Or just a wrestling fan.
I'm not really a wrestling fan.
So
either.
what was it, just a big...
It was just so awesome.
Yeah.
It was like it's like what I haven't been to a play in a while, but like if that's like what I'll go to instead of Broadway.
Are you a big Broadway guy?
No. But
Oh, okay.
my mom took us like The Lion King when we were young and stuff, and I hate musicals, but
not a musical.
Pro
guy.
wrestling to me is like the most fun shit to like go and watch in real life. I don't watch it on TV or anything, and I don't really know anything about it, but it's just so fun to watch. I kept telling everybody that night that like I became retarded as soon as I walked in the door. Like my IQ dropped like 50 points, and I'm not rocking that high of an IQ as it is. I'm probably already double digits, so I probably went down to like a 30 IQ as soon as I walked in the door, and I was just so excited to see all the big guys. The big guys are the best, and they're putting their bodies on the line for us. How can you not be grateful?
That's fucking so cool, dude. Seeing you on that fucking big screen was like,
Dude,
it felt cool,
so
dude. Even as like a
drank
friend.
so many beers. I drank 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, 4 beers, 5 beers. I probably had about 8 beers, to be honest with you.
Jesus. Yeah, when you came back to Mitzi's, you were ripped. It was so fun.
Yeah, I just kept telling everybody to suck it.
Yeah, every time I
kept going like this.
every time I turned, he was doing that. It was the funniest shit. And also,
couldn't stop.
your form is impeccable.
Yeah, I like to. Whatever, my voice there. Mucus or something. Yeah, I like to put like a little bit of my own twist on it. Get a little bit of like a fluid motion, because you could also just. But that's I like to. I think I'm just doing what Joel Embiid did that one time.
Yeah.
Yep. My ride's here.
Keep going.
What's that? Oh, all right. Well, we'll give it a little moment of silence, and then I'll let you plug what you got to go. We're about to wrap up anyways.
Cool.
Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, just SeanGardini.com. That's my website. If you want to see me on the road, all the tickets will be on SeanGardini.com. So I'll be doing stand-up comedy shows in St. Pete, Florida, and Las Vegas, Nevada in February. And I'm bringing Nate and my boy Aiden McCluskey. So if you want to come to those, please come. I'm begging you.
Hell yeah, dude. Dude, thank you so much for coming and doing the
Dude,
pod. It
thank
was an
you.
absolute
I love
blast.
You. Sorry
No,
if it was
dude.
bad.
Not at all. It was so
Don't
great.
hold it against me, all right?
I love that you were like, am I yapping too much? No, it was perfect. Dude, this is the whole point.
I don't really talk this much most of the time, so
That's what they told me, and I'm glad I was able to get that much out of you.
pulled it out of me.
Hell yeah, dude. You're the fucking man.
You're the
Peace.
best.